Welcome back everyone. As you all know, in my previous video I have talked about the Second World War and its main event. Today I'm going to present you another international conflict, the Cold War, which had lasted right from the end of World War II until in 1991. This international conflict had as its main characters the Soviet Union and the United States. During World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union fought together as allies against the Axis powers. However, the relationship between the two nations was a tense one. Americans had long been wary of Soviet communism and concerned about Russian leader Joseph Stalin's tyrannical rule for his own country. For their part, the Soviets resented the Americans' decades-long refusal to treat the USSR as a legitimate part of the international community, as well as their delayed entry into World War II, which resulted in the deaths of tens of millions of Russians. After the war ended, these grievances ripened into an overwhelming sense of mutual distrust and enmity. Post-war Soviet expansionism in Eastern Europe fueled many Americans' fears of a Russian plan to control the world. Meanwhile, the USSR came to resent what they perceived as American officials' bellicose rhetoric, arms build-up, and interventionist approach to international relations. In such a hostile atmosphere, no single party was entirely to blame for the Cold War. In fact, some historians believe it was inevitable. The Cold War Containment. By the time World War II ended, most American officials agreed that the best defense against the Soviet threat was a strategy called containment. In his famous long telegram, The Diplomat, by George Kennan, explained the policy. The Soviet Union, he wrote, was a political force committed fanatically to the belief that with the US, there can be no permanent modus vivendi, agreement between parties that disagree. As a result, America's only choice was the long-term patient, but firm and vigilant containment of Russian expansive tendencies. It must be the policy of the United States, he declared before Congress in 1947, to support free peoples. The atomic age. The containment strategy also provided the rationale for an unprecedented arms buildup in the United States. In 1950, a National Security Council report known as NSC 68 had echoed Truman's recommendation that the country use military force to contain communist expansionism anywhere it seemed to be occurring. To that end, the report called for a fourfold increase in defense spending.
Endanger the peace of the world, and we shall surely endanger the welfare of this nation. Great responsibilities have been placed upon us by the swift movement of events. I am confident that the Congress will face these responsibilities squarely.
In particular, American officials encouraged the development of atomic weapons like the ones that had ended World War II. Thus began a deadly arms race. In 1949, the Soviets tested an atom bomb of their own. In response, President Truman announced that the United States would build an even more destructive atomic weapon, the hydrogen bomb or super bomb. As a result, the stakes of the Cold War were perilously high. The first H-bomb test in the Marshall Islands showed just how fearsome the nuclear age could be. It created a 25-square-mile fireball that vaporized an island, blew a huge hole in the ocean floor, and had the power to destroy half of Manhattan. Subsequent American and Soviet tests spewed radioactive waste into the atmosphere. The Cold War extends to space. The space exploration served as another dramatic arena for Cold War competition. On October 4, 1957, a Soviet R-7 intercontinental ballistic missile launched Sputnik, or Traveling Companion in Russian, the world's first artificial satellite and the first man-made object to be placed into the Earth's orbit. Sputnik's launch came as a surprise and not a pleasant one to Americans. In the United States, space was seen as the next frontier, a logical extension of the grand American tradition of exploration, and it was crucial not to lose too much ground to the Soviets. In addition, this demonstration of the overwhelming power of the R-7 missile, seemingly capable of delivering a nuclear warhead into US airspace, made gathering intelligence about Soviet military activities. In 1958, the US launched its own satellite, Explorer 1, designed by the US Army under the direction of rocket scientist Wernher von Braun, and what came to be known as the space race was underway. That same year, President Dwight Eisenhower signed a public order creating the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or the NASA, a federal agency dedicated to space exploration, as well as several programs seeking to exploit the military potential of space. Still, the Soviets were one step ahead, launching the first man into space in April 1961. That May, after Alan Shepard became the first American man in space, President John F. Kennedy made the bold public claim that the US would land a man on the moon by the end of the decade. His prediction came true on July 20, 1969, when Neil Armstrong of NASA's Apollo 11 mission became the first man to set foot on the moon, effectively winning the space race for the Americans. Well, this was all for today, so if you liked my video, please make sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notifications to see the second part of the Cold War history. So, see you next time. Thank you very much.